Well, we're back in the park again, which is good. I say good. I don't like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but it does seem to be absolutely necessary if you're going to get any kind of exercise. I have put on nearly 10 pounds this last lockdown period, and that's a lot of weight in a relatively short period of time. It's largely because I haven't been doing any exercise whatsoever and have been thoroughly irritated by the isolation of this particular period. Why? I don't know. Why I wasn't less irritated the first time round, but then perhaps it was a novelty to be able to just get up late and work on one's script. Well, I've nearly finished that particular script, and we'll be filming that once they lift the state travel restrictions. And here's my wife doing her exercises. You're not moving. Oh, right. In fact, exercise and all really sounds horrendous, but I do feel the benefits ultimately. And I should have brought my other camera out, which will stop me jumping around like this because it's got super stabilized on it, but I thought I would look too silly holding that in front of me. Now, a few of you, and I know there are only a few of you at the moment, will be wondering when our next documentary is going to start. What's it going to be about? Well, we have been telling you, but I've noticed that those little updates get very little response. People want to see us go on these huge long hikes out into the wilds, and I don't actually blame them. I've always had a certain amount of antipathy towards these vlogs where someone shoots a video up their nose and then goes and sits and eats somewhere and starts running commentary on whether they like chili or deep fried fish or something or other. And then I notice how many thousands of people log on to those sort of things. Eating, apparently, encourages people to sit with you and watch you eat. It must be some sort of inbuilt response that we have, because we do like to sit around eating with our friends. And I do have to remind people that although you may think you know the people on the other end of the screen, they're not exactly your friends, really. Having said that, I've got a lot of friends who I originally met online and then met in person and found that I got on with them just as well as I thought I would. It's all rather strange. Perhaps I'm just a nice person. I was reading some articles about, what do they call it? Power distance. Seems to be a big thing here because Malaysia scores higher than any other country in the world with a statistic which is labelled power distance. And it basically means that they are liable to simply go along with what authority tells them to do, no matter what. Which does sort of buy into the old story of Hang Tuah, the Laksamana, who when told by the Sultan to kill his best friend, did so. And he's held up as a man of honour and a man that one is to emulate, and just does what one is told, no matter how awful the Sultan is. It's gone out of fashion, I'm glad to say, in some ways, but we have noticed this lack of ability to offer up information to those in power above you, for fear that that information is not wanted. And that's on a very basic level of actually giving them information that's useful and information that they've asked for. We'd spotted similar attitudes in Hong Kong, especially after the handover. You got an increase in degree of mainlandisation taking place. The committees became more and more silent, as someone had to simply listen to the chairman or the man in authority to speak and say nothing. It's a bit like being in a Zoom conference with everybody mute, apart from the guy who's running that conference, because they can always mute you off. And in countries where that culture is under threat, those people who have benefited from it, well, I guess they are the ones that throw the police into the deep end, make sure the police support them, make sure the army supports them, and we have our rioters on the streets. Youth tends to question these norms more frequently than those who have simply been indoctrinated in this culture for many 2 years, or have realised the futility of fighting because the power is in the hands of those with the power. And they claim their legitimacy through tradition quite often. And where tradition is falling down, it becomes to just raw power, which is rather sad, because the most effective countries are those with a smaller power distance. In fact, in this region, you find the ones with the absolutely smallest power distance are Australia and New Zealand, who are right at the other end of the scale. And there's no doubt that those countries have been very successful. Again, another run. Now, shall I try my hand on these? Could I do a pull-up? Are those bars so wet and full of viruses that I shouldn't just catch my breath? Shows you how much exercise I have been doing lately. Anyway, those are the things that I've been reading up lately. Just to add a little frisson to the documentary that we're going to do about Isabella Bird and the residents of the Raj. That is, the people who took over, the Brits who took over the states of Selangor, or Selangor I should call it, and Negri Sembilan, and Perak, which is a fascinating history. And I don't know, they died in droves, these guys, the malaria and heat stroke and other things. Well, I managed to do sort of half pull-ups, or should I say drop downs. I kind of jog upwards using my feet to relieve get some of the momentum going. So I kick myself up and then I try to hold on as I lower myself down. Last time I was on those machines, I actually got to the point where I was pushing myself off the ground, and I could feel that well, my muscles had powered up, even if my weight had not really gone down. But there you go. I know it works if one perseveres. So I'll come to the end of this little vlog. It's another outbreak vlog for me. This weekend we're going to Penyabong, where I shall put my drone to through some of its paces and try and get some good shots of the ocean and mangrove swamps and so on, which is all good B-roll for the documentary. And we'll do a few more vlogs there. I've got to keep the channel turning over whilst we wait for this massive documentary, which will be anywhere between an hour and 2 hours long. And I'm sure you're extremely excited, and I'm looking forward to that. So in the meantime, as they say, stay safe, stay calm, get out and about, do some exercise, wear the masks when there's lots of people around, and generally forget about this bloody virus. I'm dying to get that vaccine in and I can start travelling again, because it's a bit like being under house arrest, isn't it? This it is for me. Anyway, so subscribe and share and like, and tell your friends what a wonderful, warm-hearted, lovable human being that I am, how very intelligent our vlogs are. Our Facebook arena has got a lot of likes. They're waiting for the next sort of tranche of travels, really. YouTube is lagging a little bit. Anyway, I'll sign off now.